Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, really? You gotta be ready to Zoom with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that.
Thank you very much.
Sit on here.
Yes. Whew. Let's do it. This is like, oh, yeah.
That room here is,
Everything's about to happen for you, huh? Isn't that cool?
Oh, I'm gonna move over.
Hello, hello. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Good. They're not lying. No, there is no.
Thank you. That's everyone. Now.
Hello. It's good. The copies, let's see. There's like a third. Thank you.
Well, it's done, I mean, I was in town
Oh, yeah.
and I came in, I didn't get there.
Yeah.
So she gotta get there.
Yeah.
As it was, I got them to yellow tape.
Yeah, so did I.
Then I ran into, the employee and asked them if there was another, we worked it out.
So, don't what we say. Yeah.
Well,
What door did you actually want to do?
I used the front door, but I was, they stationed myself downstairs, back, so I could. have it.
Oh.
So, where is it accessible? Well, it
They're all
technically is accessible, but the door is locked.
It is?
Yes, which is why I.
Oh, that side.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the employee entrance.
Yes. Oh, it's the.
oh, the employee entrance on the back,
And the side.
Yeah.
I didn't say why.
parking lot. Wow.
Oh,
We're gonna start, and I just, before you hit record, I just wanna let you know, this is being recorded. And can you tell us if any of the public or? I can't until I start to left them. As soon as I go there, I'll say out loud what I see.
You bet, no dirty words.
and how do you speak into the microphone?
You just, there's a button there that says push.
Yeah.
And you push that, so I can send you.
Right.
What you're gonna speak?
Yeah, otherwise just be there.
And you keep your finger on it.
Green. It turns green when you push it, and then we can hear each other. Okay.
the
Okay,
entire
have you
time.
started? Yes, please. Welcome, everyone. It's been a while since we met and delighted to see everybody here today to the August 14th meeting of the Council on Aging. And I'd like to begin by taking attendance, see who's here. Dennis? Are you
I'm here.
Dawn? Is Dawn in the? Yep. Fred?
Yes.
Yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Yvette? Pat?
Yes.
Dawn? Are you with us? He's coming. You're muted. Oh, there you go. We can see you, but we can't hear you yet.
And now I'm unmuted. Sorry about that.
Excellent. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any members of the public here? No public comment. Okay. All right. Then we will move on to senior center updates, of which I'm guessing there is a multitude. So I don't know who would like to. So yes, multitude of updates. I think the most exciting news that you've all heard is that we do have a new senior services director who will start. Her name is Lisa Borchetta. She'll start September 8th, and her appointment is coming before the council on Monday, the 21st, at their next meeting. So it will be officially
She'll be officially appointed at next Monday's town council meeting and start on September 8th. So that some of you around the table were involved in the interviews. She was a candidate that I was also involved in the interviews that we were all very excited about. So it's terrific that she's accepted the role. So that's numero uno exciting news for everybody. Any questions about that?
What was she doing before?
She was the senior center director in Holliston, Mass, and had, I think, worked at another senior center before that. So she has quite a bit of experience running senior centers, and she has a master's in counseling psychology and a bachelor's with a minor in gerontology. So a lot of experience. Yeah. Other things, and Lucas, feel free to jump in because I've sort of my mind's been focused on, I need to get the Zoom thing up and running. So I mean, everything's not top of mind, but I guess I'll just start and then you can fill in. So the game room is up and running. So since we've last met, that's a new development. So we have a pool table in there and people are excited. We do have people coming in to play pool. And ping pong and other things. So that's great. It's working out fine with the scheduling. We haven't had any problems with too many people in there and bumping elbows or folks getting jostled. So that's working out well. We are winding up some of our grants. Lucas and I have been working on spending down grants we had the Wellness Community Grant, which ran through the end of June. So that wrapped up, the Wellness Learning Community, and then some other work activities. We really are trying to, sort of enhance the profile of the Memory Cafe. So the Wednesday Cafe, we've always called it the Wednesday Cafe. We haven't specifically called it a Memory Cafe, but it is designed to be a welcoming place for people with memory challenges and their caregivers. So we're really trying to get it out there more as that type of activity. And we did have some new people attending yesterday, and we have more interest in that cafe, and we're trying to get different programming in that's really more appealing for folks who might have memory challenges. So that's something that we're trying to work towards. And I think it can be really part of this, dementia and Alzheimer's friendly community that we need to be thinking more about, that report that came out, Jean. So, and this is all wonderful work that we can hand off to Lisa when she starts. So those are the main things I'm thinking of. Lucas, what am I missing? Anything?
We added a refrigerator in the lounge that will house Gatorade, water, and popsicles throughout the summer as we hit our hot months. We want to make sure any seniors that are coming in who may have been walking around have plenty of opportunities to make sure they're okay, rehydrate, and feel better. Because that heat out there can be a real killer, especially this time of year. It's saying it's on, so we're hoping anyway. But yeah, the refrigerator. Yeah, we're working down on the grants. Part of that is that we've got a bunch of arts and crafts stuff coming with resident community arts for August and September. So you should see about 5 different sessions we did in the first one. Second one's coming up, I believe, next Wednesday, and then we have 3 more coming in September. But yeah, a lot of it right now is just kind of winding down a bunch of things, getting ready for transitioning to Lisa taking over.
I'm curious, is there anything new with regards to transportation and the van?
So the Silver Shuttle is up and running, fully up and running. It was kind of a slow ramp up. Rob wasn't too busy initially, but now it's back to the full schedule. So he's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We are going to make a move to have him just drive the bus, not the vans. The main reason that he hasn't been driving the bus is that it's not branded. And he often has people flagging him down because they think that he's PVTA. So we really want to get a decal that says, Senior Center, Emmer Senior Center, Silver Shuttle. And then it can just be that it's sort of more visible and more recognizable to people that that's our transportation and anybody can use it, whether they're in a wheelchair or whatever their condition or mobility issues might be. So we're going to try to get that done soon. Lucas is looking into the decal so he can just drive the bus, but he's fully on board, doing great. I think we still want to expand the program to reach more people. Right now, we sort of have a small group of steady consumers, steady riders, and we'd like to see more people use the service. So we'll be talking more about that with Lisa too. She has a lot of experience. I think she had 2 drivers at the senior center that she came from. So I think she has a lot to add in this area.
Yeah, that would be great, because that was one of the things when it was up and running before. We kept getting numbers about the number of people riding, but that was not unique riders. And that was always a question of mine. So I think that would be an excellent data point when they start collecting more data, is not only how many actual rides there are, but how many different riders that we're helping.
Right. And also I just want to ask Dawn, are you able to hear everything okay?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yes, I hear fine. It's really great. You guys all look fabulous today. So,
So one more question is, and this probably is more for Lisa, but is the eventual goal to expand that Monday through Friday?
So my understanding is that an effort was made to try to hire an additional driver. So Rob has limited hours. He only wants to work part-time. And so before I came on, there was an effort made to find an additional driver that was not successful, to find somebody who only wanted to work 6 hours a week, basically Tuesday, Thursday or something. So I think, again, because she has experience managing this kind of thing, she may have some ideas for how to make it work so that it can be expanded beyond just 3 days a week. So I feel like that's something that she can think about and make happen potentially.
I just want to propose that maybe a shuttle would be interesting if programming targeted the vast majority of, how people respond to the survey, like what days of the week, what you attend, not just what is offered, but what would they like to attend or create, like I do dancing. Me and another person, maybe two or three, but it's something I want to do. So I just wondered if we put it out there that people could create a program that they and their friends might attend, and a shuttle, like in the morning, we drop you off and then we take you back at 4 or whatever. That's just an idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the idea, Yvette. I think there are a couple of things in what you're saying. One is that we have talked about the possibility of doing more group rides. So who wants to go to Trader Joe's? We're doing a Trader Joe's run Friday at 10:30. Come to the senior center, and then maybe there are 4 people who want to do that. So that kind of more of a shuttle service. But then in terms of like whole day programming where people get picked up in the morning and dropped off, that seems like a bigger venture. That would definitely be something to ask Lisa about, whether she's ever done anything like that. So these are all good ideas that we can think about. Yeah.
I think the one other thing that comes to mind for me is this would cost more money if we were to expand, and I'm assuming you don't have the funding right now for that.
We have some formula funds. We don't have lots of funding. I mean, we can do small projects. We'd have to be careful about the scale of things. And there's, I think, a lot of unpredictability about what might happen with funding down the line, because I believe those formula funds are federal in origin. So even though they're managed by the state, is that right, Lucas? Do you know if they're federal funds?
I believe the original funding source is federal, but
Yeah.
the states have, there doesn't seem to be any interest in changing that formula, at least from the state so far. I think we're probably relatively safe. But to add to Kiko's larger point, yeah, the problem we're currently running into with adding a second driver is if we were to fund this, we would have to fund this out of source of money that doesn't reoccur every year. We would have to fund it out of sources that are, non-replenishing. So right now, we're not even funding our driver out of our operating budget. He's funded out of like extra help, but that's not a lot of money. And then at some point, we'll have to subsidize it with some of our other accounts. Getting a second driver would have to be fully funded out of subsidizing our secondary accounts, which means that it's another question for Lisa at some point, which is just like, how do you want to use the money? What's your goal? Do you want to spend money it's not going to reoccur every year on something that, a salary is not, it's not usually advisable to fund salary out of something that doesn't reoccur every year.
Well, I think perhaps it speaks to our need to advocate for increased resources for senior services. Because I think when we compare ourselves to our peers, they're offering daily rides.
Yeah, I mean, I think having the needs assessment data will be really helpful. Like you had said, Yvette, when we know what people need, you can make a more compelling argument for additional funding. I think there are also grant funding that could be potential. Again, not sustainable often over many years, but a place to start. So there are things that we can talk about. I also wanted to acknowledge that Jennifer Taub, Councilperson Taub, is in the meeting. So she's in the in the, where she's supposed to be, which is in the, like, as if she were sitting right there in the
Hi,
community room.
Jennifer.
So, and she'll raise her hand, I think,
Hi,
if she has
Jennifer.
something to contribute, but hello, we can't see her, but she's there. She can hear us presumably. So thank you for joining us, Jennifer.
All right, I am going to change up our agenda a little bit. I'm going to defer speaking about the needs assessment report for a couple of other items. The first one I want to get out of the way is our annual election of officers, because we have 1-year terms and they expired. So these 3 positions that are up: chair, vice chair, and secretary. Currently, I'm your chair. Dennis is the vice chair, and the secretary position has been duly staffed by Dawn and Dennis, the D team. So I want to ask, is anybody interested in having one of these positions?
Put your hands up.
So,
Jean, are you willing to continue being chair?
yes, I am, if nobody else wants it.
I'd like to nominate Jean to be chair for next year.
I second.
Second.
Unanimously seconded.
Yep.
I
All in
guess we have to
favor?
make it official, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, vice chair, Dennis has graciously agreed. I'll speak for him because I'm furious he'll change his mind.
Well, I move we accept
Second,
Dennis as
second.
vice chair. Second, third,
I know. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. So secretary, I would like to see if we could do something different, because I feel like Dawn and Dennis have done an awesome job. It isn't that, but I just feel like Dennis is pulling double duty and Dawn is also doing double duty because he's also an officer with friends. So I would like to encourage someone else to take on the secretary, or it could be paired. What's that? It could be shared. I mean, that's what they've done, which I feel like has reduced the burden. So, every other month, or I'll do these 3 months, you do the next 3, whatever. Awesome. And Dawn and Dennis, are you still, or, uh-oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna be
I'm happy
evil
to
eye.
do. I'm happy to do them when you need me to, when I'm in present. I just can't do them when I'm, in the summertime or if I'm up here or whatever. That's when they're hard to do when you're not sitting in the room. That's all.
Yep. Okay. So,
I'll stand behind Don.
okay, so the primary would be Fred and Dawn with Dennis as a backup. I nominate that as our secretary.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
And full disclosure, I'm not here next month. I'm on vacation.
Yeah, I should be there for that meeting, so I can take over that one, Fred. No worries.
Okay,
Point of-
excellent. Thank
point
you
of-
so much.
Point of clarification, would you like me to list the secretary as Fred/Dawn or Fred/Dawn/Dennis?
I don't know.
I think cleaner to do Fred/Dawn. That way Dennis only holds one role in the
Yeah,
thing. And I'm also there, when I was working on something, Virginia, the other day, I can give a template to the people doing minutes that will make it a little easier. They'll also put it on town letterhead and stuff. So I'm happy to provide Fred and Dawn that, so you make your life a little easier.
that would be wonderful. Thank you. The next thing I want us to tackle, because this is very time sensitive, is our survey. First, I want to thank everybody who's been working on it. We had a little subcommittee, and I know Lucas and Sarah have spent countless hours on this. So thank you all. all. Think we've got a good product, but we're not 100% finished here. So things to discuss. So I'm going to pull out the sheet that the group, the marketing and community group came up with. And there's a number of questions here that we will need to actually. So we want to get the word out as many places as possible. Release, and I understand we need to go, if we want to launch this at the block party in September 18th. Is that right, Pat? So
I provided you with calendars for August, September, and October, so that you could take notes if need be on dates.
so today's the 14th, so that's in 4 days.
I wanted to ask a question about that. So, and I don't know what your practice has been in the past. Is the press really, do you do your own press releases as a COA versus having it come from the town?
We've never done a press release before, so
Because I guess, the way I think of this survey is that you all have really, it was your idea to do it. You've been the engine behind it. Everyone in this group, including Lucas, so a staff person with the town has been doing the work, refining the survey. It seems appropriate to me that it could be a press release done by the town, in which case you don't have to do it. Trish, it could go, Sam, our communications director would do it, unless there's some, I don't want to step on toes. I'm just asking.
Put out by the town.
You mean to who, which media outlets it goes to?
They'll probably not just a community service clip, but a story on it, hopefully, that gets more of the word out.
Yeah, I feel like you could let us know who those outlets are, and Sam could make sure to send them out to those outlets. She can also put it on our social media and all that kind of stuff, so it would have broader reach that way. So it's just an idea. I mean, I can talk further with her about what she thinks would be best, because she's the communications professional in here, so she has, I mean, and maybe you are as well, I don't know. Yeah, I know you're an attorney. I don't know if you also had expertise in this as well.
so I wonder if
Who is the communities or the communications director, for lack of a better word?
Her name is Sam Giffen, Samantha Giffen, Sam for short.
Given?
Ffen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she works on the 3rd floor, so, I could introduce you after this meeting if you
Oh,
want
that
to
would
meet
be
her.
great.
Yeah, so, and maybe we can, if she's available, maybe we can have an impromptu conversation after this meeting, as long as we're all in the same building.
Okay.
Try that.
that sounds like a great
Yeah.
idea.
Quick,
Is the 1 month, is that a town requirement date or is that just a
No.
wish?
Typically, media and the press like to get press releases a month in advance so they can appropriately schedule to get the best bang for your buck.
And if there's gonna be some stories, I get that and I appreciate it, but my concern is being a month out, if anybody sees it and goes, oh, I want to do that, if they're like me,
Well,
by then they'll have no memory.
in the press release, I state that the survey starting on state I just give them a month's notice so they can put it on the schedule or do what they need to do to have a reporter available.
Yeah, I think that might be something also to discuss with Sam. There may be different schools of thought about that, so that would be a good thing to talk with her about. But I did want to ask, so you're saying launching it at the bid, at the block party, but will it be in the field before September 18th? Will it be open, or is that really going to be the first day that it's open for people to
That's a
complete?
great question. I can't answer that. So we have other, so
So
we
then
have other questions we need to sort out first, like the platform.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in over my head. I don't know Microsoft Forms. I don't know how we make that happen, and I'm assuming Lucas, it's probably going to fall to you. I'm assuming a town person has to do it because,
Do you want to take that, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it will have to be a town person because otherwise we wouldn't be able to use any of our suite of tools. And I'd make the most logical sense for that. So I was gonna say, in more general terms, I think we should take a step back from the press release and talk about logistics. Because obviously, a press release is great, but a press release that does not have a clear plan to have printed copies, have a mailing plan for them, have a way to process that mailing, or just be active generally is not going to help us that much. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that at this point, I think it makes sense for the block party to be a soft launch. So a paper and QR code launch, and then we hard launch October 1st and let it run through the end of December. That gives us 3 months, gives us January to look at the data, and it gives us February to publish it, which also lines up with the beginning of budget season. So if the Council on Aging wanted to make a larger push for the senior center having advanced resources, you would come out with hard data right at the beginning of that process.
That sounds great.
it, my only question, is that too long? And
3 months to me sounds too long.
So my experience has been nobody does anything from Thanksgiving until January 5th. So other than just survive. So maybe we just do it through the 2 months, through the end of November, knowing that by Thanksgiving we'll pretty much be done, maybe a last push if we're not getting. And then we can always have December in our back pocket if we don't have enough and we need to really, we could have at our meeting in November say, you know, we've only got 40 people have done this and there's 5,000 in town. Hopefully, I mean, I'm just making it up, but we could say, okay, we really need to do something in around some holiday spirit in December and get the word out and get some more. So we could, maybe we have the formal soft end date, end of November with a backup plan that we could go to the end of December if we needed the time.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Yeah, holding to, let's say, 2 months is, I think, a very, very solid idea. Because when we will not be doing it, or let's say because we will be doing it digital first, then I think it would be a good idea for us to be able to push the URL and also probably the QR code as well as possible for the entire period of time.
Yeah, I mean, as long, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for Lucas of getting it done. I think we have a couple things I don't want to lose today that, there's some things we need to talk about within the document itself. I say it's 97% ready, but we have a couple of things we should talk through. So I think the document itself, the other thing, Lucas is gonna need time to get it up in forms, and then we all need to do it. Some friends of ours need to do it because we have to make sure the back end is working before we launch, because the last thing we want to do is get a bunch of responses that we can't use because there's some glitch in forms. And that's no reflection on you. I would do that no matter what software we were doing. We need to just make sure it's working right before we even do a soft open.
Can I offer that I feel like the infrastructure, as they're saying, needs to be set up first, and that the block party would be a great place to promote the heck out of it. just keep talking about it. So people will be looking forward to when it comes out, whenever, I think a little later, it's better because there's a lot of good ideas that Pat has. And we can't do everything in a month, I think.
Even for the block party, even if the block party, all we did was pass out like little cards that says, keep this because on X date, we begin the survey. But I think it may be a little too much to bite off and chew to say, we're gonna start, it's only a month away. And I can't see us getting all this done and be ready to go in, a month and 4 days.
Yep, I agree. So I'm going to show my ignorance here. Not that it hasn't already been apparent. How do we, is this going to sit on a website? Where will it live? How will we get to it?
Basically it'll be put into Microsoft Forms. It'll function as a survey. There'll be a shareable link that we can then turn into a QR code. And then it'll be the back end will be our access as town employees to Microsoft Forms.
So it's web-based in that it'll have a link and you click on that link, it'll take you to a survey that's on, in your browser, your web browser, and you'll fill it out and submit it. And then the back end will be able to be looked at by the,
So will
yes, they can request.
Yeah.
paper copy.
we'll talk about paper in a second. Will this be linked off of your site or they will need?
I mean, we can put the link anywhere. So we can put a post on the senior center homepage. We can say our survey's open. Here's the link. Click, and then it just brings you to a platform in the cloud or whatever where the survey is. And then the QR code you can scan with your phone, and then it will bring it up on your phone, and you can do it. So I know you've had your hand up for a long time. Sorry, I want to make sure you get to say your piece.
Well, it was about the paper copies, where, how, and because I know there are people who don't want to do things on the computer.
Absolutely, and there's people that don't have computers. Yeah. No, we definitely need to have paper, and we need to sort out what our plan is, if we're going to be proactive and send out to a segment of the population, or if we're going to have paper copies available at various sites around town, the senior center, maybe libraries. I don't know.
I think
My
like
tendency, my inclination, and I certainly want to hear from everybody on this, is to mail to a segment of the population, because I'm concerned about people who are homebound that don't get out to Bangs, to the library, or to wherever. And I really want to hear from them. Lucas?
I think Sarah and I put this in the survey when we talked about it, but I think mailing to everyone over the age of 80 was, I think, what we were leaning towards. And then mailing every senior in town at least a postcard with a QR code. And we can put wording on that says, if you'd prefer a paper copy, come to the senior center, and then figure out our logistics after that.
I'm also wondering if we're going to have a date that says, please get it in by, because people leave things to the last minute.
Yeah, I think that's where we say October 31st, but I also believe that that's if you get the postcard on September 4th or 5th or 10th, whatever, well, or what, 18th. So if you get it, you're going to say, oh, I can do that later. So there is a drawback. We may want to put a different date on the QR code or we can send it out in waves or do something, because if you tell somebody they have 6 weeks to finish it, they aren't going to do it. So, so while 3 months is way too long, I think 2 months is a good time for us to plan on collecting data, but maybe we look at a waived plan so that we send it out to a few people and more, so that also it doesn't, if the day the mailing goes out, you don't want to overburden your server either.
Can I check in for a second about process? Because I think what you said, Sarah, is the survey is 97% done, right? There are just a few things that we need to figure out. And I think we should prioritize that discussion, because it seems like it's really close. Once it's close, It's some work to enter it in forms, but I wanted to share that we had an intern in public health who did a survey about how to manage our opioid settlement funds in Microsoft Forms. Exactly what we're talking about, QR code, link, all that. We've already gotten 80+ responses and it's been in the field for like 3 weeks. So, and it was super easy for her. I don't think it took her more than a couple of hours to enter it into forms. It's not that much. It's just typing it in. It's not that hard. So I feel like we're not actually, unless I'm missing something, that far away from having a finished product, which means that we can meet this deadline of launching it in September, right? So let's
I
focus on
think so.
finishing the product, right?
But yeah, if that's okay with you, Jean, I have a set of things I'd like to post, given that you've all seen it. One of which is if there are printed copies, 14-point font is usually what is recommended for this population, which is what I did. It requires a lot of I mean, it's very long. So one of my questions is the 14-point font what we think we should do? Should we also offer a small font version? I mean, it's not that big a deal to go change the font. I mean, it takes some time to format, but so that's, but, or we just leave it and it's 14-point for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, one version, 14-point, got it. The other thing, hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. I really would prefer if you have some editorial comments, like something's misspelled or something, is out of place. Can you just make a note on the paper copy and hand it to either Lucas or me? I'd like to spend it. I don't want to group edit this, but I would like to know is there a question that you found particularly confusing? Or is there something that you thought was missing?
Yeah.
And then there's some places where there was yellow, where there were some long lists. I'd like to know if there were some things you'd like to add. Those are kind of the 3 things that I think we have outstanding to finish. So on pages 6, 8, and 10 are the lists. 2 of them say other, one of them I forgot. And I actually added transportation as we were talking about it today on page 6, because we did forget that.
Can I just make one general question / comment? Can we put the demographics at the end of the survey? That's the first part. And the second part is, I think for the demographic information, we need to add a last option of, I prefer not to say,
For which,
Yeah.
for all of the demographics.
Yeah.
Because,
That's fine. We can
So-
do that.
some-
I understand. We can do that.
okay.
I would like to propose that there is a group discussion about page by page, because it's cumbersome. I had a lot of reactions, and so if I just hand it to you, it's not nuanced, people don't
It's fine.
chime in, so I don't know how you can address that, Jean.
And we can do that. We can do that. I would like people's reactions to putting the demographics at the end.
Because
I have to say, I'm
What?
always accustomed to doing bio demo at the beginning.
except there are a lot of demographic questions, and I think what we really want are the responses to the stuff that follow the demographics. And some people may look at all these quote personal questions and say, I'm not filling this out, and not do the rest of it.
Yeah, regarding the demographics, we have a purpose for all these questions, why we want to know all this information about the respondents.
Usually the goal is to attempt to understand if the responses to the later questions differs by the demographics. If we're doing a great job reaching young seniors versus old seniors, are we doing a great job reaching heterosexual people versus homosexual, white versus non-white? Those are all the reasons. I personally like the demographics at the beginning because that to me is very standard process. I also think giving people questions at the beginning that are really easy to answer helps draw people in. Everybody can answer all the demographics. You know who you are.
For
And
example, why do we have less than 50 under age if the survey is for 50 and older? Because the cover letter says, those who fit, or what does it say?
Because you often ask a question like that, so you know whether or not you have to keep the data.
Also, the question, hang on a second, please.
Okay.
Also, the question becomes whether or not the person who's under 50 is also actually a caretaker. A caretaker, someone who's taking care of someone who's older. Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
then, why don't we just add caretaker as an age option? Or, I mean,
Well, anybody, say someone's 49, they're gonna be a senior soon.
I didn't,
I think they should be looking at retirement plans at that point, planning.
Okay,
No,
if
it's the
we,
group that we're collecting data from because they are that if this is gonna be not another 15 years before we do it, they will be seniors by the time it happens. And some of us have retired in our 50s, so.
It's also,
So we-
50 is not uncommon to be included as an eligible age for receiving senior programs. So it's not uncommon to see 50 plus as the age requirement
Okay,
for many
so
different things.
I can see taking 50 off. That's fine, or the less than 50. That's fine. We can remove that.
but I do think it's important to keep 50 because some of what I was hoping we were going to do is look ahead,
Yeah.
right? We need to
Yeah.
attract the younger seniors and what are they looking for? So
I think
that's really
I
important.
think that's good. And I'm remembering what Lisa said in her interview about exactly that, that the senior population is not monolithic. Like the needs of somebody who is 55 are very different from the needs of somebody who's 85. So we need to kind of think about that. But I did want to say, I think we want to be clear that this is a survey just for seniors, not for caregivers, right? Yeah, okay. And because that's what it says in the preamble, it says for seniors. So that just so we're all on the same page. And then my thought about the demographics is that sometimes it can be a little bit off-putting to have the second question be, what's your sexual orientation? I think that can be off-putting for people. So my sense, and I'll just say with the opioid survey, we put the demographics at the end. And I think what's the difference between those two is that the opioid survey wasn't so much about that particular person's maybe personal needs, but more their thoughts about the opioid crisis and how they might have been affected. This is really a personal survey. We want to hear from people about what they need and want. So I could see that an argument could be made for having some demographics at the beginning. Maybe we can mix it up a bit. So maybe you start with, how long have you lived in Amherst? That's an easy question to answer. Where do you live? You know, how many people live in your house? Some section of these, and then some of the others that are a little bit more personal, like about race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, gender, go at the end. And I appreciate, Trish, what you said about there should be a prefer not to answer option, because some people just don't want to answer those questions. And most people will, but some people don't. So you want to give that option.
I already wrote that on. I
Yeah.
already got that written, so yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
So
Just quickly, you mentioned Amherst. Anybody can come to the senior center from anywhere, right? And why are we limited that to people who live in Amherst?
because Amherst pays for the senior center.
Yeah, but anyone can come to it. There's a lot of people.
But the private offices, there are seniors in Amherst. Correct?
It is, but I think maybe you want to say, do you live in Amherst? Just ask that question first, if not where. And then if you live in Amherst, how long have you lived there? Because I think you may get some people, because this is a very regional kind of place, that don't live here who are answering the survey. And that's okay. We just want to make sure we're teasing them apart.
Talking about where in Amherst you live, there's good bus service north and south, but there isn't a lot of bus service east Amherst. And I wonder if we wanted to add, being that direction,
Right.
adding East Amherst, because the transportation down there is maybe not so great.
And there's West Amherst on University Drive, Route 9. Oh, right, yeah. So, and people live in homes too, right? West and east.
okay, we can, east and west are on, totally done.
I wanted to comment, if I could, on number 5, the race ethnicity question. I like the way AARP had listed, how you are able to identify, I think more nationality rather than race was important, so I just wondered if we could get some ideas from AARP's boxes for nationality. You know, I feel like white is such a generic term that if you tell us you're Northern European or I identify as Western European American, I'm two things,
Yes.
right?
Well, so maybe there's an additional question, but this is a pretty standard, this is like what NIH would have, like if you ever did a study for NIH or that, this is the government kind of list. At least it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know now. But yeah, but I think nationality I think we tried to get at some of that, but I don't think we tease it all out with the language spoken. So we could look at that. That's a great point.
Then, you know, we're also European American or Puerto Rican American, you know, I'm not, you know, you're forcing people to choose or, yeah, you know, their identity is lost, I think.
You also have to make choices when you're doing surveys about making sure your data is functional. If you give people, I understand what you're saying about wanting to make sure people have their identity felt, but at some point, the list gets so long that if we have a bunch of categories that have one person, then we're not going to be able to look at our data and really make any sort of determinations. If we have this is sort of a reasonable number of options that we could make determinations about how we're helping or reaching each of these different groups. If we get into nationality and we even start, drilling down into subnationalities.
That's it, you know,
Mhm.
it's gotta start somewhere, but I understand what you're saying. You know, I just have been inspired, but I see that this works and I know I kind of wondered about AARP's approach. It was so specific.
I'll look that up. That makes me
Yeah.
curious. So let me look at it and see if I can't add something.
Also, my opinion is, as far as looking at the Hispanic question, I think it's a little redundant. I think you would eliminate Spanish. And I think you could even eliminate Latino because that specifically states the male species. So I think probably Hispanic origin is probably cleaner.
So just EX instead of O.
It's just Latinx. That's what people say. Because are you saying Latino is a male specific word? Yeah. 'cause
Latino is male specific.
Yes, I know. So I'm saying that people say Latinx is what they say now
Yeah,
instead of
as-
Latino or
as-
Latina.
As someone of,
A non-gender specific word to describe somebody who identifies as being of
that's a very.
Hispanic origin, Latinx.
Some of us don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of different opinions. Some people in that community like that term. Some people in that community don't like that term. It's all, these things are tricky. So anyway, we can leave it at that. So go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so how about page 3? I already have noted that do you live in Amherst, yes or no? And if yes, where? I have that.
Yeah, so east and west.
And
Okay.
I have also added east and west. Yep.
So is that established? Because one of the reasons we ended up going with center, north, and south is that's pretty established parlance in terms of how Amherst is described on various websites, whether it's, related to the colleges or other places. I've never seen east or west Amherst. I've seen we basically came down to either center, north. I'd have to look it up in a minute.
See East Amherst.
You have? Okay. I just want to make sure it's.
Because we had, one of the options too was voting precinct, but Lord knows I'm not even sure which one mine is. I hate to admit that. So I was like, I don't want to make people have to look it up. So we were trying to make an easier distinction. I think we can easily put east and west and people can make their own decision about where they live and they'll mark that. I think just adding east and west is,
Could they fill in like,
nope, because then it's way too hard to analyze the data.
okay.
I think the other thing is we want to keep it simple. We don't want to add too many responses to every question or then it's going to look really intimidating. So
Okay.
Question, Lucas, will this allow you not to answer question? The electronic form will accept no answer.
That's basically a choice we'll have to make. I tend not to be a fan of letting people skip questions because I think personally having somebody do a survey where they do 10 of the questions, has the same value in my mind as doing 0. Because at some point you can't make, you know, if you skip all the questions about demographics and then you answer 3 of the questions, like, are we really getting any sort of information about who you are as a person and what you're looking from a senior center? Like, we can't really look at that information and go, oh, we're not helping you, or we are helping you. I think we can probably make a couple of the more complicated demographic questions that are not necessarily essential. Like, we could, you know, steer away from the sexuality and race ones as not essential. I would not necessarily let you not select if you live in Amherst. That's a kind of an important demographic piece of information.
Or could you just say prefer not to answer?
But I agree with Luke. I think if it's about, we're about the town of Amherst, I think we can have them say, do you live in Amherst? Yes or no. They don't have to, that one I wouldn't say.
No, I
Not
didn't,
to
I didn't
answer.
mean that one, but I meant the sexual orientation.
Oh, any of those, age, sexual orientation, I think any of those, especially that first couple of pages, we can do, we'll prefer not to answer on all those. I think there was one other thing on page 3.
Ethnicity. I have a question about number 6, the language spoken, primary. That's on page 4, right?
That's, okay, it's numbered page 3.
Hey,
Page 3, number 5.
let's just,
Okay, number 5.
That's ethnicity, right?
No, number 5 is language spoken.
Okay, so I was wondering if we could ask in that question, do you need help to complete? They'll already be on the survey, but I just wondered, I had a question, would you be willing to translate for other community members? If that could be at the beginning of the survey or somewhere embedded in this question about language? Just an idea.
I think that goes to the senior center staff. They'd have to have language services to do that.
I know some Portuguese people that, you know, might need help, you know.
I think you're asking 2 different things. Are you saying help filling out this survey or helping with, in general, with translation?
That speaks a language.
For the survey or just for things in general? For the survey? To fill it out, okay.
Are you talking about the online version or the paper copy? Because the online version should be able to be translated if you have a different language setting on your computer. Microsoft Word should be able to translate that rather effectively.
And is that obvious?
If you're somebody who speaks another language and then uses your computer in a different language, it should default to that rather than defaulting to English. Your computer defaults to English because you told it to default to English.
Excellent.
The wonders of the internet should happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right, let's keep moving.
okay.
All right, my page 4 from the copy that was printed here. So questions 11 to 14.
I have a question on 13. I'm wondering, what is the reason that you want to know about a paid position? Because I think 1 to 29, there are plenty of people who work 20 hours a week, and that's really half-time. And I wondered if you wanted to split it under 20, 20 to 30, and 30 or more. But it depends
thi-
why you want to know.
Yeah, I think we put 29 because that's usually where you get bennies.
Okay, got it. All right.
I have a question through 12.
Okay.
In what type of residence do you live? I live in
Wait.
housing.
Well, wait a minute. 12 is income.
She's one number off somehow.
Okay.
So she's one number off, but we know which
Okay.
one. It's, yep.
Let's reference maybe the question number.
Here.
It's okay. She's got her notes on that. I can do the translation. I understand. We're talking about the housing question, which is number 11.
Yeah, okay, so, sorry, so I just wondered if public housing would be interesting because it tells about who, you know, who is it? What social, you know, sphere they belong in.
Sure, I can add that one.
And then for the annual income, 13, I mean,
That's
annual
okay.
income number 12.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if there could be a related question, or maybe later in the document, forgive me, about the market food distribution. Maybe that's an activity. Yeah, food distribution. That's the question number 8. Is it 19? I just wanna.
Yeah, it's on the list of our number 17.
Yeah.
Before we come to on number 12, you click prefer not to answer.
I've already, yep, I've said I will put that on all the ones that are personal in nature. I,
Okay, got it,
And-
got it,
I'm-
got it.
you can check me later.
I heard it.
Just a
That's
question
good,
on the
thanks.
brackets. What, I could see under poverty.
It's,
What-
it's HUD income data. It's HUD income data based on percent under the poverty level. Yeah, it's the same numbers that we use for our tax workout program and they use for most housing requirements.
Okay, how about the next page where we get information either about senior services or community events?
What number are we on?
15 and 16.
Page 5, 15, and 16.
Can I ask one quick question? Dawn, any questions so far? We all good?
Yeah, I'm all good. So far,
Alrighty.
we're good. Yep, thank you.
Just might hear about senior center from people.
So like a word of, maybe have a word of mouth.
I wonder if in that question number 15, if we could include the Amherst neighbors, town government, town alerts, I guess that is.
Yeah, it could be any web, something on the web that is,
I wondered about Instagram. You don't have an Instagram?
You mean for the one about senior services in particular or about community events? Because community events, Instagram would be social media.
Yeah, that question.
Well, there's two information. One is information about senior services and the other is information about community events. So we do have social media on the community events. We could put social media on the senior services one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe we just add town social media to the question 15.
yeah.
Facebook and Instagram are almost, they're like cousins, right? They're related.
Same company, yeah.
Also, I wondered, Lucas, if you're able to, set up the profile for Facebook where people could, comment on your timeline. You know, like, oh, I attended, it was a gas or something. You have to tweak it for, and I thought the same for Instagram. So anybody could go there and say, you know, I went to whatever and, you know, just so that more community is in that pool.
I can look into it.
I wonder where people are. Are they in TikTok too? You know?
Well, and I think that's why I know it looks a little complicated, but why on the one that we said social media, and then we said which platforms, trying so that we would give people an opportunity to talk about what different
Yeah.
platforms. So if there was something else that we needed to look at
Yeah,
for
I just wonder if
distribution.
Give them a hint, you know, like, for example.
The problem with giving hints, it's a catch-22 with surveys. If you give them hints, they'll go, oh yeah, I do that, I do that, I do that, and they won't give you any other information. So if you ask them, you're actually more likely to get some interesting results than if you give them a checklist. Because,
We can't have check boxes, face brand.
well, we can. What I'm saying is based on my experience, if we listed Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, I don't know, I don't know what they all are, but if you list them, they'll go check, check, check. And then they may be on something else that you would never capture because they won't think beyond what the list is. The list is actually limiting in some ways.
Yeah, you know, I just wondered if, you know, they could blank out, you know, but I understand what you're saying. They have to come up with which newspapers,
But don't you think most people know what newspapers they read every day? I mean, if they're getting information, I mean, I think given what we're asking them, where they're getting this information, I would think that it's stuff that they're doing regularly. And hopefully if we get enough responses, we don't need everybody to say they read the Gazette. But hopefully enough people will say, oh, the Gazette, that we look at that, well, that's a good media outlet for us to use. So
Oh, and
that's how.
emails. I get emails from Amherst neighbors just to push my point.
I actually added Amherst neighbors onto the list.
Okay.
All right, the list on page 6 for how frequently have you used the services? Question 17. If anybody thinks of something else, I did add transportation because we had just had a conversation about it and realized it wasn't on there. So we'll get that one added. But if you think of some other senior center service that's missing,
IT support. Help with the
Mm.
computer.
Yeah, that's good.
This list was mostly pulled from our own internal data, based on the categories that my senior center puts programs into. So we may have missed a few things because some of those categories get really broad, but most of them should be here. But please do let us know if there's anything missing.
should we add the game room?
And then socialization, we all know what that means, but I wonder if that's,
I wasn't clear on what that one
Yeah.
was, but
so what else besides the cafe falls under that?
Anything lounge based or just generally hanging out falls into socialization.
But I don't know that people will make that connection themselves. Maybe we can say socializing in the lounge and then the cafe is a separate one that I talked about. I'd love to know whether people feel like they're coming to that. So if you can add those two, I think that'll be really comprehensive.
In food distribution is the market.
Yeah, the market.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Does it matter? Do we need to be to the level of I can't, pick, yeah, that word. Meals delivered versus picked up?
We could
Yeah,
probably just
okay.
go with Hive's Meals on Wheels as some sort of combo category. That's fair.
I'm just concerned, what we're doing is adding. So we need to end up with the survey people can do in less than a day.
so, but my question, I guess, to the senior center is, does it matter based on how much staffing is required or volunteer staff for delivered versus picked up? Because to me, that's one that might make a difference in a budget request if you have a lot of people that would want to use that.
The only thing that would change that it is outsourced to Highland Valley at this point. So not necessarily a big difference in terms of the way they get it anymore.
And
So
perhaps
then- so
Highland
then
Valley
could-
does.
So then could the market and meals delivered and meals picked up just be not food distribution? That sounds a little industrial, but some kind of food support or, or something. We can come up with a word, but could we put like all of those three together?
I would separate them only because one doesn't require you to sign up. The market is just show up and you're good. And that is staffed by me and senior center people. And then Highland Valley is great that they do their own thing, but that is a program you do have to qualify for. And you do have to go through the process with them.
Okay, so the delivered and picked up can go together, but the other has to be separate. Got it.
What about that Western Mass Food Bank thing that happens in South Amherst?
I don't
It's
think
the
we had-
mobile food pantry. It's not the senior center.
No, we advertise it just because we want people to know about it, but it doesn't have anything to do with us in terms of.
Just a quick question about this. I appreciate your point. Like, we don't want to have it be too long, but I've filled out so many surveys myself. And when I get to something like this, it's pretty easy just to buzz through. Yeah, I've gone to that. I haven't gone to this. It's the longer questions that people can get bogged down with. I think it's okay to have a longer list. I think we want this list to reflect as accurately as possible what we call the things that we offer at the senior center, like Meals on Wheels, Wednesday produce market. I don't see exercise classes here. There are lots of exercise classes. So I don't think we want to
We
say
have fitness class.
fitness. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So that's fine. I missed that. But I think my point still is decent about, like, let's call it the Wednesday market because people know that's what it is, versus food distribution, which sounds sort of generic to me. And I don't know if there's anything else, like I mentioned the cafe.
Yeah, I'm
You
just
said
thinking.
transportation, IT support, excellent suggestion. A lot of
We-
people do come for that.
For the sake of the survey, do we need to differentiate between dance classes and fitness classes?
Yeah. I think it's a good differentiation. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can add, we can have another line here.
What about music?
Yeah, I'm just thinking too.
Is it music classes
where
or
does-
programs?
Do we have?
There's
music
the
programs?
ukulele, there's
kind of-
auto harp.
Oh, the joy of song.
Yeah. Enlighten us, what are those,
It's an auto harp class.
auto, okay, good, thank you.
And yes,
Oh, right.
we could include some sort of general music category. That's
Yeah.
probably something we're missing. It's sort of just like a music programs would make sense. There's a couple things. It would have to be generally broad because a bunch of things sort of fall under the same umbrella.
And then in terms of health services, really the only thing that's offered right now is the public health nurse's office hours. Is there anything else that you're thinking of, or like
Foot care and dental
stuff like
clinics
that?
still on the schedule.
Okay, foot care, right, I forgot about that. No. I mean, it's not organized through public health, it's an outside person who does the foot care.
So maybe, Lucas, would you mind maybe going through this list and maybe tweaking the names so that they're
Yeah, we
less-
can do
the-
that
They're
together.
less the buckets and more the, what people call it.
Yeah,
You can do that, that would be great.
Yeah,
I
we'll do
think
that.
that's what I'm hearing.
yeah, we can do that, sure.
Yeah, we could definitely work on that. I think the goal with this was to try to balance being too specific to just people who use our services now, wanting to make sure that it is still understandable if you're somebody who lives in Amherst but hasn't necessarily used the senior center service specifically. But I think there are definitely some of these that make sense to change. Wednesday Market is not going to be hard to understand, even if you haven't been to it.
Yeah,
Like this, some classes are full, you know. I could say I went once and was told that, you know, there's a wait list or there's no wait list. Fitness classes, healthy bones, et cetera.
So I think that's a great segue to the next question, because it's that if you're not, you know, if you haven't been participating, what are some of the reasons? And we came up with a list, and I think that we could add, you were waitlisted for
Yeah,
class.
good,
That's a
good.
great point.
that's great.
Can anybody think of any other ones? I love the last one. No good reason. I just haven't done it.
I love that one too.
In my notes, I said, would you like to receive reminder emails? How often do you check Facebook? Would you like to receive senior event notices via Facebook or via email, just to toggle, you know, their interest? All these things are reasons why, you know, they didn't do it.
So I guess a question to the senior center staff. I've often seen at the end of a survey where it would bounce you out of the survey, but it would say, would you like to receive mailings about the senior services? Because you guys have an email list, right? Or do you not? Kind of?
It's not what you traditionally look at as an email list, in that we don't necessarily have the same level of access to it. It works through the website signups, which is a little bit more cumbersome than we would like. I can't just go out and grab the senior center group in my Outlook and then be like, I'm going to send out a flyer to all of them in 2 seconds. I would have to go to the website. There's a bunch of different steps that would have to be walked through. So it's not a bad idea to at least start building an email list, because it would certainly make communication easier.
So maybe just to help with whatever it's going to take to get that to happen, we could go to the next page. How would you be more likely to use senior center if it sent me email reminders?
The queen of the segment.
So are there other things that you might like to see on this list that could be a wish list? And here's one of those where we balance we didn't want to make it be completely open-ended, because that's miserable to analyze for this type of question. But so we did put a list, but we definitely would, we have that next question after, what other enhancements would you like to see in case we did forget something? But we separated it out as a
think
separate
good.
question.
I like it.
And we can probably, the word limit that, or at least to a reasonable amount so that people are forced to write brief and quick answers.
6-page essays?
Question, would you be willing to lead it, create your own, social group? Yeah, I would like to teach Portuguese folk dancing or something.
But we don't have a mechanism to follow up with them because. these are all
Anonymous.
Well, generate, interest.
I-
Heck, yeah.
I think that would fall into if the senior center had more diverse programming. In theory, you could select that either if you wanted to go to it or you wanted to lead it. Because to go off what they're saying, if this is anonymous, we're not going to be having any way to follow up with the people. So we have to get answers that can function as data points and not as something we'd have to follow up on.
But it made me feel empowered that I could create a group. So I just wondered, how could we impart that to people? All those lost people that don't get out because their culture is not,
I think we could explore other means to do that. The newsletter, the website. There may be follow-ups to the survey where we do in-person.
And then, and you've talked about possibly doing some focus groups later, so that actually would be a good, save that note, because that would be something that would be great in a focus group setting, because people could actually have more conversation around it.
About, I don't attend this senior center because the event's not wheelchair accessible or not, or I'm limited due to I need an interpreter or something to that effect. By interpreter, I mean ASL interpreter, not language interpreter.
So what, is there a way that we could put that?
You have an impairment, is physical impairment that limits your ability to attend.
You could also just say you'd be more likely to attend the senior center if it had better accessibility and then sort of do it as a broad bucket.
So something along the lines that would you be more likely to use a senior center if it had accommodations, good word, thank you, accommodations for my physical impairment?
Yes.
Yeah, good one, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we in getting care?
We're about to be.
Yep, we are now. Okay. I was wondering a question about, does someone such as a health aide or a nurse visit your home? How many times a week? Maybe that's keeping them homebound and not able to get out. Maybe they're busy. So I know people that have nurses come in every day.
Okay, but that's receiving care, not giving care.
Right.
Do we
so
have
it's
that, though?
connected Because you're asking if they give care. Well, actually, I don't give care, but I get care.
Do we-
I'm
Do we have a receiving care section?
We did, and Lucas and I made an executive decision because we were trying to it was growing and growing and growing. And I'll let you, if I don't say this just exactly right, you please add in. But one of the reasons we felt that programs that the senior center might offer would be more directed at giving caregivers and how to help them with that issue than it would be giving respite to people that are receiving care, looking at what's in the purview of what the senior center might do, with the purpose of this survey being, what does the future of the senior center look like? If we were wrong in that, or if I misspoke, is that?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I think one of the big things that came up over and over again is how is every single question we're asking something we can act on? And I think the thing that came up when it comes to receiving care is if you're somebody who receives a lot of care, has a lot of medical issues, there's not much that the senior center is going to be able to do in terms of changing our programming or changing our offering. There are a couple things. You probably might have access to those already. We do have a question 26 and 27 in the next section. Ask about, are you able to leave your home? And how frequently do the following reasons impede your ability to leave your home? But I think throughout the process, we just had to make some tough cuts. Because you can either ask 40 questions or you can ask 250 questions. And
my home, or, we're inviting students to become more involved, but, not just family or friends, but, professionals come in.
I think health problems we cover in eight. Where are you? On, number 27.
yeah, the first option is health problems would be the reason you're unable to leave your home.
Understand why, how busy are they that they are not coming to the senior center or participating? I'm just trying to tease it out.
And I think part of that is when we go back to focusing on the caregiver, I think that was question 23, where we give them the percentage scale, because that would be what percentage of the caregiving do you provide? So that's getting at how busy are you with I'm 100%. I'm it. I don't have a health aide. I don't have anybody. It's me. I'm 100%, or I can get away some. So I'm really only at 25 or 50%. So I think we were trying to get at that from the caregiver perspective, not the receiving care perspective on with questions.
Disability.
Yep.
Sure.
Physical disability, for instance, the specific on mental health concern. Yeah, physical disability.
That's a really good.
Done. How about the social network, social isolation questions?
Well, I 27, lack of transportation. I just wondered, that question about the shuttle or, the buses. How, lack of transportation, but what if you offered them an option? What if we had a shuttle that went around? And I know that, we already talked about that, that's not something that's offered. It's quite a long day,
Right.
there's no programming, it's something yet to be.
And I absolutely think that's going to be an outcome of when we get to the results. When we start talking about the results, we'll actually be able to see if transportation comes up a lot, that might be the nice push that's needed to try to seek additional funds so we can do those kinds of things. So that's hopefully 6 months from now, the conversation we can have.
Can I ask a question? I appreciate this framing of we're only asking questions that are sort of actionable, that we can do something about. So, do we want to understand if there's a large number of people who have unmet care needs, like who wish they had a PCA coming but don't? It's not like we have some free PCA program that we could connect them with. But if we were able to see that, 50% of people have a need for an in-home care and they can't afford it or don't qualify for it, is that data that's worth sharing to try to figure out how to meet that need? Just asking.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's a way of figuring out whether people do know about the resources in the community, because I think the senior center should serve as a resource connection point. Like we don't have a program we can plug people into, but we should make sure they know about Highland Valley or they know about those things.
So on question 27, could we add something about, something around, and I can't get, I gotta write what the words are, but if there's, how frequently do the following reasons but I don't know, there's two things. There's one, I don't even know where to go to find the care I need, or they're not available. I mean, to me, that's two different things. I know how to find it. There's not enough in town versus I don't even know where to start. So, I mean, would those be two decent options for that question?
How about just lack of outside assistance? Something like
Kind of
that.
general,
Which is kind of general. Because it could be for financial,
Or
it could be that they can't buy.
So additional outside care assistant, like, do we want to be more specific and focus on care providing? So no, but I like assistance. I like but is outside to, would that get the right people answering? That's my concern. Do we want to be a little more specific?
Outside stronger, but I'm trying to find the right word.
How about home care? Lack of home care assistance.
That's it.
Okay. Are you talking about adding?
I would add this to the list of 27. So health problems, lack of transportation, we're going to add physical disability and lack of home care assistance.
Okay. And then 28,
28 is just, is there something else that we didn't write? So let's get, are there any comments around health and habit?
are you on 28 still?
No, questions 29 to 34. 2 pages.
Yeah. I'm looking at 28, still, and, I did have a note, which maybe you'll tell me for, it's down the road. I just wondered if we could find out, that's crazy, what days of the week are good for attending the senior center? Would you use a dedicated bus shuttle? What days are good? What days are good? Give us ideas. Maybe that's down the road. I just wondered if we
Yeah,
could engage with them.
I think it's a little too specific for the more general population-based survey. I think it's a good idea to run it, but I think it would almost make more sense as a separate, isolated, individual 2 to 3 question thing. I think if you put it in the middle of this, people are gonna go, you asked me about all these like overarching big life things, and then you asked me about something really specific as a shuttle and what days for it.
Catch them while we have their attention. But I hear what you mean.
I'm also worried if we get too much longer, we're going to not have their attention because this is really long.
Good. All, good, no, great job. You want to add slide, please, Summer? Slide, please, not there. Maybe you will. Do it.
Oh. Complete oversight on my part. I'll add it.
Really bad at any of these things, physical health wise. So yeah, it was a,
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like 29, 30, 31 are pretty basic and followable. Thank you for the addition to 32. Any additions to 33? Gardening. Okay.
okay. And then
Music, I mean, people can say, be happy.
add one more to 33 crafts. Good idea with that.
for the mental health.
No, I'm happy to include both of those in the mental. Yeah. No, that's the right question. I can include crafts.
Looking forward, is there anything that you guys can see on these last 2 pages?
I see that you asked about question 56. So that's great that it was not a test problem. So, yeah.
That's right. I knew we had that in there.
Down the road, they'll tell me I agree, but one of the queries I had with the person responded, would you be open to meeting with high school or college students once a week? That's a really specific question, but, this is given the survey, the report that the grad students generated. I just wonder, I know there's a million questions, but I would be interested in that. Would they be willing to work, maybe down the road, maybe not in the survey, just if you could please remember that.
My only concern is I think it's just a logistical question on the part of the senior center being able to accomplish something like that. Right now we don't have necessarily a program that would allow us to connect those 2 groups. In theory,
Information or have something to offer, please get in touch with the senior center. And then how to get in touch with.
yeah, you can include it. You,
Like you said, at the end of the survey, it takes you out to an outside place, which is where it says, do you want to sign up to receive more info? Do you have anything you want to share? Call us at this number or something.
Yeah,
Email
I
us.
worry about saying if you want to receive more info based on what I just heard, that's maybe not going to be forthcoming. So you don't want
Yeah.
to turn anybody off at this point, given that logistical problem. But we could say, if you had something to, if you think you have some, programming or ideas that you'd like to share, just call this, and I don't know who we would call. That was one other thing that I saw off the list that came from the other group. We probably, I think the note is great, on the first page. So I want to go, people who should we change it to Lisa? for our
Oh, yeah.
first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this should be Lisa, and then.
Then I don't have to correct you on the spelling of my name. That's okay. Kiku is a new one. I've never had that before. It's Kiko, not a U, it's an O. Whoops. Oh, no. Okay, I'll have to check into that too. I believe you. It's okay.
The other thing, and I wanted it to be right, so now I'm embarrassed. I did. What was? Oh, the contact person / spokesperson with contact information. I think we probably should add a sentence. If you have questions or concerns about the survey, you should and so I don't know who that person should be. That they contact and maybe the senior center, at, either email or phone number. So I think that just needs to be another line in the cover letter. That's pretty standard.
Is that something that we can list senior center?
You mean just the main line is the number to call? I think that's right. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody has a question or concern about the survey and they want to,
Yeah.
they can we could just say, call, email, or stop by the senior center, and we could just give the email and the phone number.
Yeah.
Pat's list of her marketing and communication plan. I wondered if, this idea of the radio stations, television stations, how many people listen to, like that open-ended question you had that you could tell us what social media, what mailings, what emails, here's the newspaper, which one? We are targeting some newspapers, radio, television,
I was wondering.
the fabulous 413.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if you would, a lot of people around here listen to the Albany station. I don't know if they would publicize something like this, WAMC, but I know a lot of people who listen to that.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Let's wrap the survey before we start talking about the outreach, because the clock is our enemy.
Any other comments about the survey? I think the only thing left is once a few of you do this, like when we get it in forms, when you do it, if you could time yourself and then just shoot an email to Lucas or me with how long it took you so we can fill that blank in.
How many should we collect? Is there a number we should have at least 25 people take it, or?
What I would say is let's let Lucas get it up. We all take it. Just as a first round, make sure then you can email back to everybody and say, okay, can you send it to 2 friends? Get to a couple more people. We'll have a second round, make sure if anything that needed to be fixed or cleaned up. And then I think we'll be good to go.
Okay,
And
great.
when you distribute it, make sure you're distributing it to individuals who will actually do it when the full survey goes live. So people who are going to be still participating, spouses, really close friends, people who that when it actually goes live on the 18th, they will redo it just so we actually get that data added in.
but why can't we just collect this? Why can't we'll just keep this data? Yeah, they don't need to do it twice. Yeah, just have it be people that would do it. Don't ask your 14-year-old nephew.
I don't have a 14-year-old.
Can I make one suggestion with paper copies? When I was reading this paper copy, there were a couple questions where the question appeared on 2 pages.
I have a note here already, fix the pagination. I thought I had that all fixed and then it must, when it got sent, something happened. I will make sure of that. I do have that. I already had that. No, to me, it's a huge thing, but yeah.
Any questions, Dawn?
Nope, I'm good.
Excellent. Okay, let's talk about, we talked about mailing a postcard and potentially mailing printed copies of the survey. Are we able to segment the population to identify residents who are, say, 80 or older?
It'll take a little bit of work, but I should be able to do it. I have a data file of everyone 55 plus, so it's just gonna make me going in there and picking it out, but that's not that hard.
And do you have a ballpark idea as to how many that would be?
Happy to do it and send an email to the COA letting them know.
Okay. I'm also just thinking ahead, even though money bags, I mean, Dennis is next to me. We are going to need to request funding for postage and copying and whatnot. So just don't want to spring everything at the last minute. So I have no idea what we might be asking for. So that's why I was just looking for a ballpark idea. So
Happy to speak with the treasurer of the Friends and also provide some information about that. We might be able to come with a larger presentation to the Friends meeting next week.
okay. And would we be able, sorry, I'm not done. Would we be able to get mailing labels from the town clerk or you all, like this database we would need, so we could slap them on the postcards?
I believe it includes mailing labels, but I will double check and provide that along with the 80 plus information.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Based on all the mailing that I've done through work, it'll cost about $1.50 to send one survey.
Mailing costs just went up. So
And this is also single-sided. It needs to be printed double-sided.
Well, then somewhere on the survey, you have to tell them, look on both sides.
yeah, we may be old, we're not stupid. I think we can do that.
No, people that have, so,
Go to the next.
Well, I think
Okay,
it's going to
Bill,
be stapled.
okay, somehow we'll make that happen. How, if we mail it to the 80 plus population, how are they getting it back? Because are we giving them a mailing envelope to mail it back?
Great question.
Yeah, sounds like we are.
I think if we want to maximize our chances that they return it, we probably would want to. I mean, another way we could go, but again, I feel like we'd lose the homebound is if we could arrange for collection places in the library, bangs, but it means you've got to get there or you need a neighbor or friend to get it there. So again, when we have the numbers, I think maybe we can make a decision financially what the cost of that would be.
Yeah, you need to formulate these things and then bring that to us.
Yeah.
And so, or maybe it's just a little colored slip that's attached to the front that says, this is two-sided, and if you need assistance in getting the survey returned, please call. And they can call and there could be, somebody could go pick it up, or there could be a way that you don't have to, because if it's gonna cost $1.50 or more to mail this, you don't want to put $1.50 or more envelope inside it when some of the people are gonna just walk it down and not use and then that gets that's wasted money.
Or not fill it out at all.
Yeah. How many seniors are?
It's like 5,400 or something.
I wonder if we should also print on there, this survey is also available online if you would prefer. So, because there will be some people that,
I think a
We'll
nice
choose.
little, maybe a half sheet on color paper that just gives them some instructions that, and you could put the QR code, or if you prefer this paper copy, and are unable to drop it off, please let us know. We'll make arrangements to get it back from you.
Great. So will we talk it up at the block party or? We'll have it available, final cut.
Yeah, I think soft launch there makes sense. I mean, it would seem a waste to have the COA be there and not have a survey that they're going to have available in, 12 to 14 days after.
Maybe a table, what we're gonna have there.
yes, absolutely. Obviously, we all have a table, and it's a question of what will we have. So do you think it would be okay if we did, I don't know, what size piece of paper, relatively small, with a QR code to say, scan this, in a week or starting X date?
It has to be, if you're handing people a piece of paper with a QR code, it better be live.
Also, just a really, really quick thought, whatever you do for the URL, try to get a tiny URL on it, so it'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
For everybody to.
Yeah, no problem.
Sit down and transcribe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know if it's possible to do that with the Microsoft Forms. I don't know if you can change the URL. That it's odd.
I think you can convert anything to a tiny
Any
URL.
URL.
You just take it and then convert it, and then it becomes the new URL. In the same way you can do with a QR code. It's just a way of shortening it and
Okay,
making it more
cool.
functional.
All right. Oh, I wanted to mention that so Sam, the communications manager, is not in the building. She went to a conference in Foxborough, but I messaged her and she said she will definitely do the press release. That's generally what she does. She does press releases on behalf of committees such as this one.
So if you could give me your email address, I could contact her and meet with her and
Yeah, or you.
say, this is our list. How does that compare with your list?
Yep, yep.
And
And if you have content that you want to share, I mean, we'll share with her also content. I usually tell her, this is the basic stuff we want to get across, what it's about, blah, 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 and then she'll put it into a press. release,
okay,
send it out. So that's that.
That's great. Thank you. All right. What else in terms of,
The timeline and all the various points, there are like 5 of them that kind of grew up. And I don't fit that in going forward before the Black Party. So she'd have to have something, right?
So are you talking about this information need for the press releases, list of questions?
I'm talking about the marketing and communication plan.
Oh, yeah, because there's a list of questions that were at the end of that. And I think most of those we've actually answered today. Like the goal or the reason, it's in the cover letter. Contact person, we're adding it to the cover letter. We talked about timing, which is the next few questions, QR codes. The one thing we didn't talk about on this is it available in multiple languages?
but the version on the website will automatically convert it.
Right.
It won't convert the paper copies, but out of the sheet that we can add that lists a number of languages and says, this is an important document. If you need it in another language, contact somebody to help you do this. Or contact, I guess, the senior center. I'll get you the list of how it's phrased in multiple languages. Does that work?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the biggest question is going to come out is how much need is there for different languages in the written version? And then, I think it's the question that we have to answer. And maybe part of that is asking Sam or town manager's office about what kind of of translation they tend to do for documents in the town? Like what is the expectation that the town has provided documents in blank number of languages to individuals?
I think that goes without saying.
I think it's a good step, but I would also, if the town has a precedent set of providing important documents in, for example, say English, Spanish, French, we probably want to have at least some sort of, at least meet that standard.
Do we have a sense as to how many seniors are English isn't their native language?
So fun fact, this is actually one of the most frustrating pieces of data I tried to find the entire time I was working on this. As far as I can find from the census, you can find the percentage of seniors that are not English speakers, but you cannot find any information about what language they actually speak. I literally tried to dig into the actual data and could never find it. It was one of the most frustrating parts.
Do you recall what the percentage was?
It's very small. I believe it was 10% or less.
Every time they generate a, mailing, they have languages attached, so I wonder what they use.
Well, what the language is attached says, if you can't read this notice, please have someone that speaks your language to help you figure out what's on this notice. I'm paraphrasing.
If you
But
could,
the ironic thing is, if you can't read the language, you can't read that note.
So can I clarify? So there's a form that has this phrase in 20 different languages. It says, this is an important document, please have it translated. I don't think that's what we want to put on this survey. That's when you're being served with something you're in trouble with something and it's an important document and you need to get it translated, because if not, there'll be some repercussions. Yeah, so not in trouble maybe, but it's important for your health. This is an optional thing. We don't need people to complete the survey. So if we're saying this is that same language, this is an important document, please have it translated, I think it sends a different message. We don't want people to be concerned. Right, so maybe there's an adjustment. Maybe it's like if you are not able to fill this out in English and can't have someone translate it for you, please contact us or something like that. I don't think we'll get a lot of calls, but we could try that. So before we translate it into other languages, we can try to ascertain what the need might be to translate it into other languages. And we have time to do it if we have to. And we have resources to do it if we have to.
And I also think we can also say the online version, it can be can be translated and if can be translated by your computer, by whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, I think establishing the need is probably the biggest part of it. What the town offers and what is a reasonable expectation of us. I don't think it makes sense to translate it to 20 languages if we're never going to see 17 of them. We
Yeah.
have to figure out if there is one or two extra languages that are actually going to make a meaningful difference. If, we lose one person because we put it in English, not meaningful, but if we lose 20 people, that starts getting a little bit more impactful.
Yeah.
Well, I also think obviously it's important for populations that haven't been represented to hear from them about
Yes.
how we're doing, so, okay, excellent. Talking about timeline, so we're saying the block party, which is a month away, so not to put you under pressure, Lucas, but I'm just wondering for our purposes here, ballpark idea as to when you think you might have it loaded. Obviously, edits have to be done first. We got to get a final version, then that's got to get loaded. So what would you project in terms of us hearing from you with the test, with the link to test?
End of next week.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. in part, I just wanted us all to hear that. So, because when that comes in, we got to move on it right away. Yes.
And we'll get an email with the link and we want you to do it. And everybody do it and also add in and then send us back an email that says it took me whatever amount of time. So that we know, we'll put that in you can put that in the email when you send it out, because then we can add that to the front page. And then once we get that and Lucas checks the back end, then we'll send something back out and ask you to send it to two of your senior friends. But also the two of your senior friends who you know will do it within the next 2 or 3 days. Because we're on a tight time frame. I was trying to be nice, but yes.
Tell them 24 hours, and if they're slow and take 48 hours, we'll be okay.
So at what point would you, after you get it loaded, then you can create a I'm assuming you're creating the QR code?
Yeah, the QR code step is super easy. It is literally you take the link to the web page and you create a QR code. We're going to put it everywhere we can put it to get as many people as possible. I think the one thing we've talked about the entire time is there's no value in doing this if we're not going to reach a ton of people.
Will the committee look at final postcards or finalists?
Maybe. Let me jump to something else because I'm very conscious of the clock here. We have the opportunity to move our meetings back to Bangs if we change when we meet. Well, just hang on.
We're getting there.
So the two options that work for me, and not to be all about me, but it's all about me. I'm never available Tuesday, and everything always seems to happen Tuesday. So we could go the third Monday of the month, 1 to 2:30, or what I think might be simpler for us is to move to the third Thursday of the month, 1 to 2:30. My only concern with the third Thursday, and I don't know what individual conflicts may be, is that's close to when the Friends meet. You're the third. Yes, I know. But so would the third,
Is there any chance that we can do it that's not right in the middle of the day? Could we do it at like 9 or 10 in the morning? Cause like we tried to do some errands this morning and I thought we were gonna be late getting back and is there any way I was gonna ask that, is there a way we could consider like earlier in the morning or even like a 4 o'clock instead of, cause this really cuts the whole day in the middle. And my preference is in the first or second week as well, if that means anything.
The block party is when?
so the only morning slot that was offered was a Tuesday, and I can't do Tuesday. So all the others were 1 to 2:30.
I didn't look at post 4 o'clock, so I could come back with I could at least consider if there are options for that, if that is the will of the committee.
Would 4 o'clock work for everyone else?
Except every third Wednesday. So you're talking about the third.
I don't know what I'm talking about right now, other than we're talking about later in the afternoon. I don't know. I guess the question is, if we went, say, 4 o'clock, could people meet Monday at 4?
Sure.
Monday at 4 p.m.
Any Monday? All right, Wednesday at 4? Yeah. Thursday at 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Thursday at 4?
So that would be the monthly meetings for September, that would be.
So then the next question is, should we keep to the second Thursday? Which, yeah, okay. Okay, so it would be Thursday, September 11th change the bottom of your agenda from 1 to at 4.
At 4 p.m.
Yep. And we could be in Bangs.
Will we be back then?
Yeah, well, Lucas, you did schedule.
We do have something that runs right till 4 on that date, so we might be a little bit late on 4 o'clock at that time, but you could do 4:15 to 5:45.
So are all the spaces filled?
So this is, I was looking at 101 mostly because it's the nicest room. So this would be 101 on the second Thursday in September. You could do 4:15 or 4:30. It's just, there's something that runs right till 4 o'clock.
And is that every month?
It's every month, and it's, I believe, like the second and fourth Thursdays.
Could folks do that first September 4th at 5? Well, if we meet at 4, we'd meet 4 to 5:30. Okay. That actually would be preferable in terms of it would give us a little more time before the block party. Yes, the building will be open.
Well, yeah, we'll have to make sure that yes, we can make sure the building's
Yes,
open.
you can make that
So
happen.
I'm just looking, I can pull up the calendar on my phone, so I'm just making sure that we're all good. So what are we thinking? What have we just settled on?
Thursday, September 4th at 4.
Don, does that work for you?
There does appear to be a conflict on November
Yep.
6th.
So, yeah, good thing I'm not in this job anymore because that's the same day as the Board of Health meeting. So I wouldn't be able to do both, but it's okay.
Is, can the other group switch to a different space?
I don't actually know the person who does the group, so we can certainly investigate that.
On November
So
6th.
is there another space? Could we go into the large activity room?
I don't-
With all due respect, I don't want to go through this whole harangue and then we're bouncing hither, thither and yon. So there's got to be some gain here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah,
I believe you can do glass room at least on the November, and then, but let me get back to my office, look at the calendar and make sure I can schedule you out at least 6 months in the spot with maybe only one change of room. Because I would prefer to have you in 101 the whole time.
so,
Okay, can you do that
yeah, well,
like tomorrow?
yes, we can.
I'll do it today before I leave.
Okay,
So
thank
we
you.
settled on first Thursday at 4 then, first Thursday of the month at 4.
As
Yeah.
long as we can be assured that we have
The
a
room is
space.
there, okay.
Enjoy the patio in November.
I'm out of town that day.
Right, and we will get back to you with the specific room. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I do actually have a 3 o'clock meeting, so I have to go. So if you want to keep meeting, somebody will need to close out the Zoom.
I moved to adjourn.
Second.
Hang on, hang on, hang on. The one other thing I was hoping to do, you guys are brutal.
I will switch
I
with
need a
Kiko. I will switch with Kiko and cover the Zoom so you guys can finish.
Okay, yeah.
I just want to
Thank you.
have us approve the June minutes before we depart.
One adjustment to my title. That's the one I sent out. the other day.
Okay. Did you have any adjustments to the June minutes, Dawn?
Nope, no, not for me. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone in favor of approving the June minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, splendid. I would say the one thing that we had listed down here that we didn't get to was a discussion of our needs assessment report. We had a very small group in June when we started talking about it. I'm very interested in hearing, for those of you that weren't there, any feedback you have. One of the thoughts was for us to kind of look at the recommendations and maybe offer some suggestions to the incoming director. I don't know if you all have done anything with that, if that would be redundant or if that would be helpful at this point.
Only adjustments so far, I feel like, are the website based. I took a lot of those and have worked on the website and improving that, but I don't think a lot of the other ones we've taken a look at.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you all. Be careful trying to navigate out of here.
All right, thanks. I'm gonna go ahead and end the Zoom.
Okay, have fun, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dawn. Thanks.